Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mickey. I am your host of Beyond Page One podcast. I am very excited to announce today's guest. We have Dr. Marilyn Sandor. She's a highly experienced pediatric dentist, an innovator, and entrepreneur, dedicated in advancing the field of dentistry. She's the founder and CEO of Good Checkup Corporation. It's a groundbreaking teledentistry platform that empowers dentists to expand their reach and enhance their patient growth. Really excited to have you, Marilyn. Thank you for coming down. Really, to start, can you share a little bit about your journey from growing up in the Midwest, to becoming one of Southwest Florida's, favorite pediatric dentists?
Thank you so much, Mickey. I'm honored to be here on your podcast. It's absolutely going to be a great time. I'm looking forward to this and sharing a little bit about myself and my journey. So, yes, I am originally from the Midwest. I was born in Indiana, and after, I guess, maybe second grade, moved over the border into Illinois. And I was in Illinois throughout my school years. So, from elementary, middle, high school, college, then dental school. And after that, I decided I had enough of the weather and that I was headed south. So I went to the endless summer and landed in Naples, Florida, and I haven't looked back. So I started my practice straight out of my residency. So I guess it was just kind of like an experience that I don't know how many other people recreate these days. They're probably a little bit more inclined to take a position with someone before they just kind of strike out on their own. But I think I just kind of had my own mind about how I wanted to do things and was impatient. So that's how I ended up opening my practice in 2001.
Wow, good for you. That's awesome. Was there a particular moment or person that really inspired your path towards dentistry, especially and specifically pediatric?
Pediatric. I would say that interestingly, when it came time to applying to residency programs after dental school, I was more interested at that time in prosthodontics because I really liked the crown and bridge and the meticulous waxing and boring things that maybe some people may or may not like the detail-oriented nature of that specialty. But it was my best friend in dental school, Dr. Christine Carpo, and she reminded me how much I really just enjoyed being around kids and that I should go ahead and apply to the pediatric residency program. One of the reasons I didn't want to was because in dental school, that was probably like one of the least favored rotations because it was generally loud. There was a lot of noise. The instructors, I'm sorry to say, were very old, and they wanted children to be seen and not heard. So the whole experience was pretty negative.
Yeah.
But when it came down to it, she was right. She's like, just forget that. Do things your own way. And so that might tie into why I just decided to kind of open my own practice straight off and just kind of like do things the way I thought I might want them to be done.
That's really cool. So you ended up in Naples over 2 decades ago.
Yes.
What made you pick Naples, and what kind of makes this community so special to you?
Well, okay, so that actually ties into the Midwest. In the state of Florida, you have a lot of people that are kind of gravitating towards the East Coast, towards the Miami side, and then you have people gravitating towards the West Coast. And I've come to learn that US 41 came down from the Midwest to the West Coast. So when I drove into Naples and had lunch on Fifth Avenue and kind of looked around me, I suddenly felt like I was very much at home. And it turns out that most of the residents had Midwestern roots, so it just felt like a really welcoming place. So I was having lunch. I called my mom and I said, I know where I want to live. She's like, really? And I'm like, yep. And she's like, do you want me to come down? And I'm like, yeah. And so that's how it started. Like within a week, we picked out a place for me to live. I identified like where I thought an office location would be right and got it all together. Like hired a contractor, architect, leased the space that would be built out, and just got to work.
Wow, very cool. Good for you.
Thanks.
Um, Obviously, entrepreneurship is difficult and it comes with challenges along the way. Can you share a pivotal moment in your career that, tested your resolve, and how you overcame it?
There have been so many. Probably like a big one was like the housing collapse. I would say like 2006, 8, 10,
Yeah,
like
2008,
around
yeah.
that time. Because as a pediatric specialist, my patient pool was more the service families here. Naples is and was, very touristy. And so most of the patients that I had were families that were in the service industry, might be working with hotels, might be working, in different fields like home repair and so forth. And when things were falling apart, so many moved away that little by little it became, difficult and challenging. And then I guess it was just kind of, you wait it out, you just stay strong. We had to then take on some more insurance plans, just kind of accommodate people, but that was challenging. And then, of course, the pandemic.
No
So how can
kidding.
we forget that? And so that was challenging in every way, as most people know, but particularly that actually ties into Good Checkup because I have 3 children and my youngest is type 1 diabetic. And during the pandemic, really all you were hearing on television were how underlying conditions would be like a sure path to death. And
Yeah.
so I was in no hurry to get back to my office just because it was a lot of unknowns. And all I could think was I'm going to bring something home. And for her doctor's visits were then kind of going to virtual. And I was searching for virtual options for my own patients because there were many others, not just me with my child who's diabetic, but I had other families where children might have medical conditions. They may have autism, which would limit them when you are trying to, say, attend a late night visit in the emergency room with a dental condition. So we were fielding phone calls and having conversations with people, and I decided that we needed a better solution that didn't exist, and so that's how Good Checkup came to be. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
the challenges hopefully leading to like if life gives you lemons, try and make lemonade.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's actually perfect timing because it, leads into my next question about teledentistry platform. So for our listeners that, might
Yes.
be unfamiliar with it, why don't you tell us a little bit about it and how it works?
Okay. So what I wanted to do is I really wanted to create convenience for both myself and for my patients. And with the busy life, that most people have, our phones are constantly in our hands. Like
Yeah.
here I have Layup 2 like sitting
Got
next to
mine
me
right
right
here.
now. And to be able to conduct business through your phone, just like other professionals, like attorneys and physicians and radiologists, it would be very convenient. So I wanted to create something that not only would be convenient for me to be able to know what a call was about prior, get pictures, get some medical history, dental history, frame my thoughts before I take a call over my phone, but also give me the opportunity to convenience the patient so they know they can contact me, they can have a set time, they're reassured that even though I might not be in the office, that, this app is going to lead me there, or, that they don't have to jump in their car and drive, 3 hours because they decided to visit grandma, and
Yeah.
now suddenly they have a dental question. So basically, I created a downloadable virtual care application. So on the doctor's side, there's an app download, and with it, you're going to be able to conduct business, even get paid, e-prescribe, and dictate your notes afterwards. And with the patients, they get an app where they can see their doctor, connect with them, have availability upfront, see what maybe the charge may or may not be able to explain their concerns either offline if they just want to submit photos and statically ask some questions, or they can do like a live virtual visit if they have either like an emergent concern or something that's just hard to describe, and then be able to be pointed in the right direction so you're not just like left by the wayside, like you've given the patient advice advice on what they should do next, like yay or nay, go to the emergency room, come see me on Monday, let me send you in a prescription, you can go to the endodontist in a week. Like all these things are for people's convenience and access, so you're not left in the dark with a concern and then going down the wrong path, spending thousands of dollars doing things
no
that are
kidding.
useless. So I don't know if I answered that question.
No, yeah, that's perfect. Oh, you transitioned from private practice to launching the Innovative platform.
Yes.
I know that the part of the inspiration for that leap that you said earlier was, the pandemic, right?
Yes.
So now that pandemic is over and you're back, the world is reopened, so to speak.
Yes.
Are you in both still? Are you still practicing and working the
Yes.
Good Checkup? Yeah.
Yes, I am both practicing. I am practicing 4 days a week, so it's not full time, but it's like semi full time. And I'm actually using Good Checkup in my practice to help
Awesome.
convenience both me and the patients. So, for instance, if I'm out of the office, we just, all of our new patients and our existing patients, they know that we have a care app so that they can download the app if they have any questions or if they have any concerns. Say it's a follow-up, I can do that virtually with them. After hours, anything, they can connect with me. I actually also provide care for one of our Native American tribes who have offices about 2.5 hours away. So if they have patients that require more extensive treatment, possibly treatment that needs to be done under IV sedation, I can consult with them in advance virtually and then appoint them appropriately so that we don't waste time and travel time and money
Yeah.
and so
Wow.
forth. So just kind of incorporating it. So I like being in practice so I can put things to use and beta test and get feedback, and so
Yeah.
it's it's fun.
As an entrepreneur in the dental space and the tech space, so it's kind of cool how they both combined. What marketing or growth strategies have you implemented to effectively scale your ventures?
Actually, that's a really good question. We're still kind of ramping up the marketing of the product. I feel like I have been testing it and kind of beta testing it to be able to get the right feedback from patients and also in my own thoughts and then from colleagues, close colleagues, so that hopefully we'll hit the ground running with the marketing because it's so expensive. I
Yeah.
don't want to throw a bunch of dollars into like something going the wrong direction, so I want to make sure that we have something that's tested and true, and that when we do go full force, that it's going to be in the right direction and put those Google dollars to work.
Nice. Cool. You're obviously changing and reshaping the future of teledentistry. It's really cool, and it seems that a lot more of medicine in general is going a lot more virtual.
Yes.
What trends or advancements do you believe will be the most significant impact on your field in the coming years?
Well, yes, I think that there's going to be a tremendous impact, obviously, from AI, because
Yeah.
early on we were incorporating AI diagnostics on images so that if a patient were to submit an image, that could then be quickly analyzed, and it gives the person, not only the patient, some really great feedback, but it would then in advance be able to give support to the dentist because some people hesitate, maybe they haven't been in practice for as many years. They want to provide convenience, but then at the same time, maybe they're not 1,000% secure in their skills being able to read an image, which at this juncture is going to be either a camera phone picture or it could be an x-ray that the patient has uploaded. So to be able to analyze that with AI is going to really be helpful. And then beyond that, I think the AI chatbots are going to be able to take the brunt of the initial conversation and be able to boil that down. So instead of seeing medical history, dental history, chief complaint, the patient might already be able to get some guidance. So I think that there's going to be a lot in that regard. And then there will be, this is like what I'm hoping for, there's going to be a lot of availability for at-home diagnostics so that you may be able to then do testing at home, like it may be like caries detection, there might be like salivary testing, so then you can share that with your provider when you meet with them. So when you have that virtual visit, maybe you live in a remote location and you don't get to the specialist very often, then it's like being sent for your labs prior to your doctor's visit. So I think a
Yeah.
lot of these things are just really going to come together, and people are going to be able to accomplish so much more virtually than ever imagined.
That's very cool. What's your kind of what's the diagnostic rate on the AI? Like, is it accurate? It's good.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yes. Yes. There's some that they can. Yeah. Very good.
Wow.
It's very good. Yeah. It's really neat. The
That's
things are
really
really
cool.
cool. Yeah. It's really
That's really
cool.
cool. So when scaling Good Checkup, as you're kind of going to market now,
Yes.
while simultaneously running a successful practice, it requires strategic thinking, obviously, and the approach to leadership and decision making. Across both ventures. Can you walk me through that and how you lead both teams?
Ooh. Okay. That's a good question. I think that one of the things that's really important in leading teams of any kind, that anyone decides, whatever their venture might be, I
Yeah.
feel like the thing that transcends all is if you're in the role of leadership, so you're in the C-suite, you want to be able to look at the people with which you're working and discern where their strengths are. And I know a lot of people will say this, but it's really true. Try and discern where their strengths are and kind of support those strengths. And don't be afraid to like move people's roles around in such a way, obviously, that you're not like talking about like upsetting them or pay cutting them, like really, you want to try and have people be able to be cross-trained enough that you're going to be able to move them around in their roles. So for instance, like in my dental practice, I had brought on a dental assistant. This was going to be clinical staff, but quickly I could tell when she was speaking with patients that she had such strong rapport and had such great conversation skills, and she was so enthusiastic that having her up front really would benefit us, not only in her personality and her magnetism, but to be able to then utilize her knowledge with clinical experience to be able to impart that information over the phone to reassure patients or talk about treatment plans. So to be able to kind of move people around so they don't feel trapped or that their strengths aren't being seen. So same with virtual assistants. Like if you realize that your virtual assistant that might have been hired to be sorting your emails actually does a great job editing video, then maybe that's something that you might want to kind of move over into their realm. So just kind of keep your eyes peeled for those hidden strengths and
Yeah.
be able to like utilize that.
Yeah. And yeah, give people the opportunity to, right?
Yes.
I often use kind of the analogy of, you're on the right bus, but in the wrong seat, right?
Yes.
So kind of, shuffling people around and saying, yeah, you're great at this, but try this, right?
Yes.
And it works really well, in scaling our business as well. Scaling a dental practice requires a lot of marketing, a lot of time, a lot of understanding of what your patient's needs. So what was your approach to scaling your dental practice?
In the beginning, I think because I was starting from absolute zero scratch,
Yeah.
that had to be scaled like immediately. So,
So what did you do in that first kind of, let's say year or 2 years to like get
yes,
patients in? What did you
yes.
do?
Well, I had to start before I even had the office built because I had at least a space with what they then called was like a vanilla shell, or actually it was a gray shell because you had to put up your own walls and pour your slab and everything else. And so I had like been drawing out like my new office design and what it would be, and it took many more months maybe than expected to kind of get it to happen. So I started to do like just boots on the ground marketing, like just start showing up at back to school fairs and sent out actual real postcard mailings that I had drawn myself, for just kind of like the kind of cute
Awesome.
version of, what it would be. And it grabbed some attention because it wasn't like glossy. It was like me, cartoon of myself. I think we posted it somewhere online, of like me standing in front of my new office building to be. and try to then just kind of get ads out with a phone number and then start booking. So like pre-booking patients for appointments in the future, and then interviewing staff for a location that would be in the future. So I started off with one front desk person and one assistant and myself. And then once we had kind of like established like our routine, then you can build on it. So the one went to two, the two went to three, the three went to four, and so on. And what was also very helpful that probably can be for other people when you're looking for staff is look to your own staff to see who they know. Like find your staff member that you feel that you think is strong and that you enjoy their personality, and do they know others like themselves? So that's a great way to kind of build. So
Yeah.
I think like that was cool. And I guess just as time goes by, the best way to really build and grow is to have good feedback from your clients and to grow by word of mouth. I really think that's the best, because then no matter what happens, if you're known in your community, if you're known for providing quality care and doing quality work, you're never going to be lost. So I think
Yeah.
it's probably the best way to scale is just really do good work.
Yeah. Do you
Just try
see?
to grow before you aren't able to provide that good work, because you'll quickly have a bad reputation.
Yeah, no kidding. Do you see a lot of referrals coming from like general dentists as well?
That is actually a great question, because not so much, I would say, because most general dentists back then, there weren't as many, say, pediatric dentists. They really want to keep families together, and they would just refer if they were having a hard time. But unfortunately, sometimes it was a hard time after they'd already tried some treatment, which then you end up with like the skittish patient.
Yeah, no kidding.
So my strongest referrals were generally, I would say, from orthodontists. So that was always very nice. So myself, I appreciated that greatly, and I've learned a lot of orthodontics along the way, but I myself don't really dabble in orthodontics, with just kind of limited early treatment for pediatrics, because I really appreciate the work that they do. And I feel that if you do that day in, day out, then you are just the master. So
You're
I'm
the
not going
master of that
to cut
craft.
on their toes. Yes.
Okay. And then for the teledent side, scaling that, obviously, you mentioned you're kind of in your early stages by the sounds of it, right?
Yes.
What do you, without giving away the secret, obviously, do you have kind of an idea of, how you want to approach other practices and what that looks like to kind of scale that side?
I think probably the best way to kind of approach the other practices is going to be to try and help them find a solution for a problem that they're having. And sometimes people don't necessarily know that it's a problem, but when you start asking them about, things that they have to deal with, and you see that they're cringing, then if you can offer them a solution that conveniences them, then I'm hoping that's the right approach.
Yeah.
So interestingly, though, along the lines of scaling, something that was unexpected with the virtual care platform, because I started out with pediatrics, was that I didn't anticipate that it would be really appreciated in geriatrics. So we have
No
growth
kidding.
in the geriatric realm as well. Yes, so we're facilitating a virtual care in over 30 facilities in Florida and Georgia with like long-term care and assisted living, so that those
Wow.
patients that are not very mobile and have difficulty accessing care are able to have access. And then the steps that would then follow are really kind of coordinating then a dental visit, bringing somebody on site. And so we work with an amazing mobile provider that is providing that service. So just kind of getting connected is so important. And yeah, I wasn't expecting the geriatric population to really have
Yeah.
such a deep need, but they really do.
For our younger dentists or early dentists that might be listening, what are some good ways for them to, you know, build connections with other dentists? Or, are there good networking groups or anything like that, or masterminds or things they can take a part of that you would suggest?
Oh gosh, that I think probably, yeah, to be able to look on, say, if they're pediatric dentists, if you look on the communities with like the AAPD and the Tiny Teeth Chat, and you look at some of those resources, I think that you'll find a lot of very helpful, knowledgeable individuals. I think there's things like dental nachos, there's mommy dentists in business. We used to have the platform of empowered dentistry. There are communities, there are a lot of communities out there, and if you just find like your niche, like sometimes it's even just Facebook groups, but I would recommend if you are in a community, if you find like maybe just one or possibly two other people with which you can work together to take call, it's really nice. It's like it's a great way to build bonds. Like when I first came to Naples, there were two other pediatric dentists in town, and they were very welcoming, and so we would take call for each other, and it was great. And then sometimes we just get together and just talk about things that you just want to talk about, because when you're in solo practice, sometimes it can be a little isolating. So
Yeah.
it's nice if you can do that. So yeah, if you don't necessarily want to jump right into like an online community, I would find like maybe just a couple individuals, trade call with them, and then you'll get to know each other better. And it's very, very supportive and nice.
That's great advice. Thank you. So balancing life as a mother of three, an entrepreneur, and practicing dentist, it's a lot. How do you maintain the balance and stay grounded in such a dynamic and fast-moving career?
Well, let's assume that I am staying grounded
Yeah.
for the purposes of this conversation. Sleep less, drink more coffee. So it's so simple.
Beautiful.
I think that probably the thing to do, the thing that I've done, and I don't know, if everyone can achieve this, is to just blend it all together, so that way you will be able to like more or less keep up. So with Good Checkup, I have blended that, with my practice, so that I am using it in my practice, and then I actually did have staff members multitasking, like social media posts and things like that. You can multitask, and then I definitely blended having the kids at the office many a time over the years, where I'd have them in the office to the point where now I actually offload work to them. So like I'd be like, here, design this, here, draw this, here. Thankfully, they're very skilled artistically, but
Yeah.
making posts or like helping design the characters like on Good Checkup, or like being actually like in pitch decks for like the Zuby Prophy angles. So my son, who's big now, was like the patient in like the first product videos, and things like that. So if you can blend it all together somehow, whatever it takes, it definitely helps to be able to keep up.
That's awesome. It's a family business.
Bring your kids to work.
Yeah.
It works.
You just mentioned something, the Zuby Prophy angles. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Zuby Prophy angles, that was another, it was something that I wished I had, a lot like Good Checkup, or something that I wished I had. So that was earlier in practice. So this was around like 2008, maybe. Working on patients, cleaning teeth, everything that we try and do to just kind of like downplay and support and make everything kind of fun. I thought maybe it might be neat, like if the prophy angles actually were for pediatrics. And at that time, when you would buy things from catalogs, like the Patterson catalog, I've told this story before, like I was looking at a catalog, not online, this is a catalog back when, looking at like items for hygiene. I asked where the pediatric items were. And so my rep at that time said, well, here, look, the small things are in the back of the catalog. I'm like, oh, okay, the small things are in the back of the catalog. So that was kind of funny. So I thought, let's have things that are more geared towards the patient and kind of supporting their journey, so that when they come to have their teeth cleaned, if they're coming for their visit, they should feel like it's self-care and that it's fun. So they'll be able to pick out not only the flavor of the toothpaste, they're going to be able to pick out the flavor of their fluoride, they're going to be able to pick out what movie they want to watch, but why not be able to decide what character is going to be polishing their teeth that day? So we have Penelope the penguin, Talon the Talon the tiger, Zoe the zebra, and Chase the cheetah, and so it's like a variety of little animals. So the Zuby Prophy angles are a really great icebreaker. So when a patient comes in, then you're able to really offer them like a whole full suite of options, and then it becomes more of like a journey for them where they're not being brought and made to do something. They're there and they have choices and they're doing this for themselves. So
Yeah.
so it's the little heads that clean your teeth, like the little polishing angles. And so there's also like a full line of associated products like the Prophy paste and the fluorides and things
Very
that
cool.
the kids would enjoy.
That's such a fun way to get them, engaged in it, right? And build that trust as well
Yes.
with the patient, right? Because kids can be difficult to build trust with, especially when you're the dentist.
Yes. Yeah, so yeah, you have to try and like start off on the right foot right away.
Exactly, exactly. It reminds me of a story just when I was a kid. Like my family's in dentistry. My brother was my dentist, and I just like I just hated it, like, right? And especially it was my brother, so he wasn't nice about it, and I was like, I need someone a little nicer.
It's so funny. It's because it was family.
Yeah,
Whole
exactly.
different level.
Yeah, he's like, sit down and shut up.
Exactly. Like I don't have time for this. I got other people waiting.
Exactly.
It's so funny.
Finally, really last question for you today. What advice would you offer to, aspiring entrepreneurs and professionals looking to innovate within the healthcare system?
Gosh, I would encourage them to do it, to go for it, because it's a creative outlet that it's hard to suppress. Once you get that in your mind, then you don't want to have any regrets. Like I would say, try and think it out, beforehand. You can definitely go on like uspto.gov and search up things that may or may not be similar to what you're thinking about. Sometimes it gives you ideas. Sometimes it can be, something that can help you avoid maybe some costly mistakes, just by knowing what's out there in advance. But I definitely would encourage anyone that has that kind of like inclination to go ahead and do it, because so many things that people bring to market today are very similar to other things, but it was just slightly different, and I feel like there are certain times for things as well. You may have a wonderful idea that maybe the timing might not be right. Maybe just put it away for a little while and then revisit when the timing is right. Or maybe, yes, something was done in the past, and even though it was done then, it wasn't done now. So don't let things discourage you straight off. You really should just kind of trust yourself. And if you feel that desire, then do it, or else you'll have regrets.
Awesome advice. Thank you so much.
So,
I really, really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. And to our listeners, I'm going to link Dr. Sandor's information below, so you can always, follow her on LinkedIn and whatever other social media platforms that she has. And if you have any questions, I'm sure you can reach out to her directly. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mickey. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you today. So have a
Of course.
wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you. You as well.